inspiration. What's that favorite word you're going to share with everybody today? I'll say gratitude. I'll start gratitude. And Monica, what's the word you're sharing today?
Hope. My word is hope.
Hope. So we've got gratitude, we've got hope. And Sarah, well, what's your word today? What's your word?
Empowerment.
Empowerment. I'm loving that. Empowerment. And Avni, you're joining us all the way from India. What's the word that you want to share this morning or this evening?
I would say collaboration.
Collaboration. Hamasita, I hope we're writing those words. Those words are amazing. So we started with gratitude, hope, empowerment, collaboration. And Ruth, what's your word this morning? What's your word?
Ruth is in the chat and she put gratitude.
Gratitude. Ruth put gratitude. And Uncle Charles joining us all the way from Kenya. All the way from Kenya. What's your word this evening, this afternoon, this morning that you would want to give and share with those that are listening in, tuning in?
Motivation.
Motivation. And I want us to look at those words and take them in. We have gratitude. We have hope. Hope is what we have. Because no matter how hard and difficult the situations get, hope is what keeps us going. And then we move on, empowerment. Often than not, empowerment has been misconstrued to mean so many things. But I'm going to take that around the room as we wait up for 2 more minutes. Sarah, when you think of empowerment, what comes to your mind?
So in terms of, I'm basically thinking about women. I'm thinking about how our voices have been silenced. And I'm thinking about our group today and how we're trying to rise up and empower each other today. And how men and women are trying to unite and empower each other and unite, and together we can.
Wow. Wow. So today we kind of make it clear that empowerment is not just about attending conferences, because I feel there's been that misconstruction of what empowerment truly is. And when we empower each other, we are elevating each other, whether it's with knowledge, understanding, sharing culture, traditions. We all learn from all those aspects that we're trying to teach each other. So if anybody ever thought that being empowered meant attending conferences, let that change. Let that change today. It's when you learn, when you get information, and we are all each other's resources. We tap from each other. And Avin, you talked about collaboration. Why
Right,
collaboration?
That's exactly on the same lines which you just mentioned, that we are coming together at this platform at the moment, and we can hear ladies from different places, different places on earth speaking the same language, going through the same pain that we are going through, laughing together, celebrating together, and empowering each other with our experiences of life. And that is exactly what collaboration does to me. It empowers, it gives me hope, it gives me faith and belief in the system once again. So this has been an amazing, amazing time for me, meeting out all of you people, all from very different backgrounds. Of course, we are linked through one pain that we all suffer, and that is to bring up the laws for the women and girls that we are still fighting for. But then this is amazing that we could sit together and we can feel and we can connect that there is somebody on the earth who feels the same pain and who is rejoicing with every step that we are taking.
I love that. We are coming in one voice, with one voice, standing in unison, in the collective, in solidarity, because we're fighting for the same cause, to not only improve the lives of women and girls, but we're fighting those very laws that have made us be in the same place for over a half a century more and still counting. And we are standing up together in the collective to say the time is up. It's no longer an excuse. It's inexcusable, unacceptable that in this day and age, in this century, we are still talking and taking ourselves back to what it was back whenever, before we were called up on earth, before God placed us on this earth. And we're still fighting for those, against those laws, the laws that put us down, that do not accept that we are equals. We know we're different, we're unique. That does not mean we do not deserve to be treated with dignity, with appreciation. I want to understand that. Nowhere in the Bible, for those of us that are theologians, nowhere in science, for those that are scientists, does it say that a woman shall be, this is her position. And if science has it, and if the Bible has it, I need you to all, if the spiritual leaders are there, I need you all to come to the platform and tell us, so that we can also learn and relearn and unlearn, because this is the whole idea. So we are here to learn, relearn, unlearn. And then that way we are empowered and we will forever be elevated to move to the next. And Uncle Charles, good afternoon. So far, as we are getting ready to get started, what seed has been planted into you? What seed has been planted into you? It's great to see our brothers join us from Kakamega. How are you this evening? I see they are waving at us. And Samuel, thank you so much. Brother Namai, you're here. And Sarah, you are here. And we have not heard, Mamacita, did you hear anything from our second speaker? No? If we have not heard anything, I believe this is our sign to get started. And as we get prepared for day 4, which, like I said, I shared with all of you, I want to welcome you again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you're joining us from around the globe. This is day 4, and we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us. And we thank you. And on this day 4, we look at the voices of resilience, empowering survivors of sexual gender-based violence from trauma to triumph. And we're calling it healing and empowerment for survivors. This is a session where we will unpack, we are going to learn, we are going to share. And again, like I said, the importance, we have to allow ourselves, we have to be open enough to take in the information that we receive. From that information, I'm hoping that you'll be able to learn something or unlearn something, but be able to take away something that you'll be able to use as a resource in your community. This is why we do this, because we believe that we cannot just hope for her global alone, cannot do it. World Pulse alone cannot do it. African Women Leadership Network alone cannot do it. The UN itself alone cannot do it. But we have to come together. We have to come together and share. And we can learn from each other what is working, what is not working, and how we can make our communities better. One, to raise awareness. How do we educate our communities? How do we change the mindsets of what we thought was the correct thing and what is the right thing? So today, we have that time again where we'll meet Syra. She's joining us all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. And we're going to take it, instead of me reading, I want you, Syra, to share with everybody that's on the platform, because we do have the flexibility where you can share. Tell us more. Who is Syra? Who is she? And I know you're joining us all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa this morning. Tell us a little bit about you before you get into your presentation today. You need to unmute.
Sorry. My name is Sarah Mia. I come from Johannesburg, South Africa as a beginning. So obviously I'm a skills writer. I am very empowered by creating awareness for women. From an Islamic background, I'm very, very empowered to do so because I feel that women's rights, Islamically and globally, I feel that women are shunned, okay, in terms of that, because I feel that people feel that women don't really are criticized for certain aspects because they're female. I feel that they feel that we are not really seen as individuals. I feel that we are seen as less than individuals on many bases. I like the fact that we have many qualifications and there's something called the glass ceiling effect. What happens is that we kind of we get to the top, and then because we establish and we know certain things, we get to the top and we can't break the glass ceiling. So we get to the top and we have all these qualifications and we call it the glass ceiling effect because we can't break it. Okay? So we get there and we get to the top and we're like, oh no, and then we can't break it. So it's called the glass ceiling effect. So unfortunately, that's what we are facing. So as an introduction, that's just the baseline of who I am. I'm a skills writer at Regenesis Business School. I write programs, outcomes, and leadership programs. I'm in corporate education, and I'm an ex-teacher. But in terms of that, I've been through a lot, and I'm going to outline it today. That's just a brief introduction, but I will go through everything today. Okay. Let's give 9 minutes. Oops.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
No problem. Okay.
So we'll just ask everybody to mute their mics so that the presenter will be able to present what she has prepared for us today without interruptions. Thank you. Go, take it away, Sarah. We're ready.
Okay. So, so my name is Sarah Mia, and I stand before you today as a survivor, especially as a survivor of verbal abuse that has left emotional scars. I'm an ex-teacher and a skills writer. Through my experience, I have transformed my pain into purpose. My journey has not been easy, but I now have utilized my skills as an advocate, as awareness, as an educator, and surrounding as sexual and gender-based violence. Today, I wish to share not only my personal story, but also the tools and strategies to help navigate our paths to help others. Okay, so I just read that first part because it's very emotional for me to talk about. So I just read the introduction, but I will go on to the next one. Okay,
One
right.
moment, Sarah, just one moment. Miss Lorraine, if you can mute your mic, then when it's your turn, we will ask you to unmute it. Is that okay? Because we're getting feedback from your mic. Thank you.
Right. So, in
My
terms of
mic is muted. We can go on.
understanding sexual and gender-based violence, so let's understand the sexual and gender-based violence in terms of gender. So we have to understand the unequal power dynamics among gender-based violence. So when we talk about power dynamics among gender-based violence, we have to understand what is the root cause. So when it comes to understanding the power dynamics among this, we have to understand what is the root cause. And when we talk about this, we talk about it in terms of what happens in our childhood. When I go back to what happens in our childhood, I have to have another pen, but let me use two items. What happens in our childhood? So basically, when a child is, for instance, has an upbringing when they are abused. So I'll go back to our study to be inside. So when a child is abused or has an abusive relationship, or they have some kind of bullying, or some kind of trauma happens in their childhood, they tend to have what people like to call daddy. They like to analyze it as daddy issues. Okay, when psychologists deal with it, and then what builds onto that is they tend to understand it as, okay, I lack that in certain aspects with other people, okay, which is not usually the case. Sometimes we just pick the wrong partner, okay, unfortunately. So we come across a person or an individual who's just wrong for us, okay? So I may pick someone, for example, that is just not compatible, okay? So that actually turns out to be the incorrect person. So that has happened to me in the past. So in high school, for example, I dated someone who was really, really not perfect. He became verbally abusive towards me, undermined me in completely different aspects. And that became verbally abusive. Okay. So in turn, when I say that I'm a survivor, it's because I know. And that when I say that I can identify with that, I can understand. Because when somebody tells you that you are going to fail your matric, it sits. It sits with you, it boils. And when it's continuous, it hurts. Okay? So what is the impact that this kind of criticism has on an individual? So let's talk about this. Your self-esteem is, lost my papers, but it's fine. Your self-esteem is completely shattered. Okay? Your emotions are completely shattered. Now let's talk about what happens when you are physically abused. When you are physically abused, and it's a continuous, vicious cycle, okay, where do you turn to? Okay. Problem is, you go to a police station, report it. The embarrassment that you have to face as an individual to report that. Firstly, you go through, as a psychologist, you go through something we call PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? Post-traumatic stress disorder is the same as losing an individual. You go through 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, okay? Okay, acceptance, grief. All of the stages of grief a normal person would go through, that person is going to go through. 5 stages of grief. that a person with PTSD would go. So that is what an individual who's going through constant beating would go through, and they have to report this to a police. Do you think that individual is going to report? Highly unlikely. Or they will report it, and will a police officer actually take them serious? Now, in the case I am suffering from PTSD, psychologists, if you go to a psychologist after the event, right? And it's not the correct psychologist, and I'm going to talk about this right now. And you go to just a counselor is going to come and they're going to say, so, Sarah, how are you feeling about this today? Okay, that's fine. And how does that make you feel? That is called active listening, responsive listening. Perfect. Fine. But if you go to a cognitive behavioral therapist, and take note of this, everyone, cognitive behavioral therapist, CBT, that is where they speak to you about your triggers, T for triggers, and they speak to you about your behavior, okay, your trauma, another T, trauma, and how to evaluate and regulate your feelings, okay? Now, if you are a survivor and you do not have the means, the facilities, and the ability to afford cognitive behavioral therapy, who do you go to? Okay, and that's a question I'm going to answer. We as individuals need to understand the tools and the guidelines of what can we offer these individuals to assist them, to stabilize them in helping them move forward. So what can we help them to do? And I'm going to give you the tools right now. Firstly, we need to assist them and help them in finding these, just a few methods. Firstly, there's grounding techniques. Firstly, they need to understand that post-traumatic stress disorder is treatable. It's not something that is untreatable. And it's okay to not be okay at that moment. It's okay. Sometimes we can be okay today. Sometimes we cannot be okay right now. And we will be okay. There's hope. Okay? And there's empowerment. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay? Just because somebody was unkind or not really okay doesn't mean that you cannot be okay. Does that make sense? So that's the first step. Okay? And you need to identify that, right? The second step is to allow them to speak about their events and understand that you need to empathize with them. And active empathy. Empathy and sympathy are two different things. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone, but empathy is placing your shoes in someone else's and understanding their feelings and emotions. Then you need to understand active listening, okay? So listening to the individual, as well as they need to have the ability to like meditation tools, okay? So meditation mountain is a good one, or just guided meditation. There's also 1, 2, 3 techniques. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can taste, like all the senses they can go through in a nutshell, okay? Meditation techniques. There's also relaxation tips. So an Epsom salt bath always works effectively. That helps with lukewarm water. And lavender essence, that's also good. Things like that are nature walks, exercise, healthy diet, healthy living. In a nutshell, we as individuals need to stand together. Okay, you strike a woman, you strike a rock. We need to remember that. okay? And we as a force need to work together. And how can we accomplish that as a unit? Okay? So we need to understand that. And that is why we get today. Okay? So let's all work together to accomplish that goal. And as a person who has been through this, and when I speak about this, it becomes very, very emotional. And that's why I had to read the first part, because that trauma that I had to go through as an individual, facing something like that, and I was only in high school, okay? And somebody had told me over and over and over again, "You're stupid. You're not well. You're not okay. You can't do this. You aren't able to do this." And I had to hear it over and over and over again. And I just had to hear it. Imagine if you physically have to go through this. And when somebody has to go through this physically, for me, you can empathize with them. And us together as a force can do this. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah. We appreciate you sharing, and we understand with this type of discussions and topics, we totally understand. And we want to first thank you for allowing us and giving us permission to be able to share your journey with us, and for being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be vulnerable amongst us. So we thank you. We don't take that for granted. And before we move on to our next presenter, do we have any questions that you may want to direct to Sarah? This is the time. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat, or you can lift your hand and you can ask her. We will give you 5 minutes of question and answer, and she'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Is that the hand up, Uncle Charles, or any questions?
I wanted to congratulate our sister, because sharing is not a simple thing unless you are motivated. And so I just wanted to find out how did she get the motivation to open up?
Great question.
So how did I get the motivation to open up? So basically, firstly, I thought about it long and hard. And when I saw this opportunity to speak about it, people kept saying, Sarah, why don't you speak about your other obstacles and how far you've come? Because this isn't the only obstacle that I've come past. I actually had 2 double hip surgeries. Actually, I had a middle ear infection, and the doctor actually gave me cortisone, too much cortisone, and I had 2 double hip surgeries. And that's another obstacle that I overcame. When my mom was pregnant with me, she had German measles. So she could have lost me as well. So there was a lot of obstacles even before I was born, came into this world. So I think that we've been faced with so many challenges in life. And when this happens, and somebody challenges your intelligence and says you can't do something, and right now, when we're talking about women and we're talking about people challenging your intelligence and telling you can't do something, and now's the opportunity to empower yourself and talk about it. And I'm just like, let's speak about it. And I did the work on myself. I went for counseling. I spoke about it. I healed from it, and now I'm here today to share with the rest of the world. Here's the tools. Here's what I've learned. I've studied it. Let me help somebody else.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do you have any other question? Okay, Monica?
Yeah. I just want to tell you this is really important for us to continue to talk. And we spoke about this yesterday. The more we talk and the more that you tell what was your way to go through and to overcome what you went through, and all the stuff, it's going to be another woman out there that they are going to identify, because as you say, the first is the denial. And when you are in that phase, you don't believe, because you self-love, that you are in abusive relationship, that you has been betrayed, that the way that that person talked to you, or even in the financial abuse you, or whatever it is, other ways, and you start to learn that, the more you talk, the more people is going to be. That is why we are here talking 16 days, for people to know what is that. Otherwise, we don't gonna know what is that. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I really, really thank you, because you are doing what it should be doing.
Wow. You just took the words out of my mouth, Mamacita. Thank you so much. And honestly, our hearts are full. There was so much to learn. Like Ruth noted in the comment, you gave such practical skills, practical skills that we all could use and learn. So I appreciate that. And, if we have any other additional resources, any that you can share with the group, with the audience, we would love that, because that is the whole essence of why so that we can impart knowledge and we can share. It's a gift to be able to share knowledge. And it's a gift that we don't take for granted. So thank you so much. And I know for 2025, I'm going to be looking forward to working more and more with you. There's so much that's coming into my mind right now. There are the workshops that we'll be offering on mental health and wellness. And it's just amazing. You are such a tool and a force to reckon with. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
And that being said, we just also learned that our next speaker, Kangarasi from Kenya, will not be able to join us, but however, because she has bereavement, she's experienced bereavement in the family, so she will not be with us. But she ensured that there was someone to stand in the gap. This is what I love about the power when women come together, when women and men come together. We make magic happen. And because Kanga could not be with us today, she did send someone to Sister Lorraine is here, and we're going to learn from her. We will ask her, we'll do the same. And we appreciate you, Sister Lorraine, coming in to join us. We certainly appreciate you. And if you don't mind introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about yourself.
Sorry,
and then Banja will step in to then have a one-on-one with you as we proceed with the program.
Is one more question in the chat, Maria.
Okay.
What are the ways your cognitive can become an system? Don't have the means to access it.
Okay, go ahead and attend to the question, then we'll have Lorraine come on board, okay?
Don't have the means to access it. Okay. So basically if they don't have the means, I did answer this question as I said, don't have the means to access it. we can use the tools that I've already learned. So I said the meditation. There are meditation apps, but if you can't get the meditation apps, us as individuals could create something like a mini workshop or mini recordings. So there is coaches available. I know a few influencers, the one in particular who has a beautiful voice. Mine is not that, it's not that nice, but I can down tune it. I can try to make it because my Arabic is very nice, but maybe if I just slow it down a little bit, we can work on it. Um, we can try, but there is a few sites that are possibly available. I know on Spotify there's Meditation Mountain, which is very, very good. If anybody wants to check it out, Meditation Mountain is amazing. There is a few other guided meditations. Please don't use the other one that you pay for. It's really not nice. The voice is terrible. There's another one, two other voices that aren't nice. But Meditation Mountain, I really, really like. And there's a few others online that you can check out. But there is a lady, she's a coach. She does do actually online ones, and I have a few recordings actually that I've done. So yes, that is available. As I said, there are yoga techniques online. And as I said, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technique, which is available online. If we could, I could possibly create a PowerPoint presentation, a quick one on how to, like a few techniques on how to do that. That won't take me very long. I could do a mini workshop as well for survivors, like a guideline, a quick guideline. It will be about a 50-page document. I'm not gonna lie because I'm a writer, not gonna lie, but we can condense it to about 15 pages shortly. Just a mini guideline on how to do that. I do know a clinical psychologist, and she's just a full psychologist as well. She's very good. If I can get a hold of them, and I know a coach as well. So I've got 3 resources so far that I could help assist us in that regard, if possible, just to get a few aspects with that. But if they cannot get access to a cognitive behavioral therapist, we need to, as all of us as individuals, assist them to facilitate this process going. Sorry, that was
I
a very
just
long answer.
No, we appreciate that. We appreciate all the resources that you advised as well. And we also wanted to acknowledge that we also in partnerships with others. So
Mhm.
definitely help, like you say, the tools are
Mm,
there. All she would need to do is to reach out to us, and then we'll be able to
mm,
direct her um, with the tools and the resources. And we look forward to that workshop. And yes, please, we would appreciate the resource. Like you said, even if it's condensed, it will help, and
mm,
we will be happy to share it. We'll also be happy
mm.
to put it on our website, and they can access it from there. And
Okay,
and then workshop, because once we record your workshop, we can also put it on our YouTube channel. So there will
okay,
be different areas where they'll have access to information, to
okay,
this great information. But we wanted to acknowledge that yes, we are in partnerships with some of the counselors. So all they need to do is to reach out,
okay,
and
okay.
we will also give them the resources, or forward them or direct them to the right resources. So we appreciate that. We appreciate. Absolutely
Perfect.
well answered. And thank you again for offering. We definitely would love to have that
No
handbook so
problem.
that we can share it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, wow.
No,
Thank you. That's wonderful. We just got feedback to say your presentation is really therapeutic.
Mhm.
Great work.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
No, we thank you. We benefited and gained and learned so much from you. Thank you for being the honor and pool of information and knowledge. Thank you so much, Sarah, for allowing us and giving us permission. So, without further ado, I will then move on to the next presenter. And Sister Lauren, if you can now join us and introduce yourself. And then, Brother Samuel, we will get to you at the end. Then we'll address, or if you have something that you wanted to mention, just put it in the chat. So, Sister Lorraine, it's time. You can come on.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. I'm waiting for response if I can be heard so that I can
Yes, you
continue.
can. You can. We are hearing you. It's just that is there feedback where you are?
Okay. I am Lorraine Onginjo. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual violence. I'm sitting in for Kangarasi, who is our regional representative under the Brave movement. Basically, I co-chair the Brave Space in Kenya, and I also convene a space for survivors of sexual violence in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. Under that, I work with survivors of sexual violence. At the same time, we are advocating to end these abuses against children, especially sexual violence. So as a survivor, I identify with working with children most as a children protection paralegal, handle a lot of cases around survivors in the same space. I'm very sorry first for the noise that I'm seated somewhere in an open space. Today we were marking what some of the children who are survivors of sexual violence have been doing in terms of acknowledging the 16 days of violence. And we were showcasing what the girls have been going through healing. We've been able to make some things I'm showcasing. And we also had a runway. And this is one of the ways that has assisted the girls in their healing processes. So basically, as a survivor, we take through survivors of sexual violence the space for legal action, mental health support, and even rescue, and even some of them rehabilitation. I also run a program called under the Rebuilding Community Organization that champions for the right to education, suppress child marriages, especially in areas in Kenya where we have cultures that support child marriage. So our entry point was the right to education space has really helped us to make sure that so many girls go back to school, hence suppressing child marriages. So in reference to today's dialogue, I'll just want to touch about some of the resilient spaces as a survivor with going. So supporting survivors of sexual violence is not easy, but it involves healing, empowerment, and even the pathways to justice. We do them through different strategies and resources. We have the healing and empowerment space where we have peer support groups, programs where we have spaces where girls and children of the same age sit together, talk about themselves, they share their experiences, and through these groups, we help survivors access, process trauma, and rebuild their confidence, and also get a sense of identity. Through counseling and therapy, we also have professional mental health services that is very crucial to us this process. So they get informed therapy that can help them navigate through their healing journey. We also engage the community where some of the abuses have been ongoing, And through community education, we've been raising awareness about sexual gender-based violence to reduce the stigma and also create promote a supportive environment for survivors. The pathways to justice are not easy in terms of the legal assistance. We always get challenges. When today we are having defilement cases for 2 children, 3-year-old and 8-year-old, and the challenge comes when the police stations receive bribes to suppress the cases. So regardless, there are challenges, but we still have success stories of how these cases are being handled. And this is also a space that also causes trauma to some of us who are survivors of sexual violence. We also focus on issues like policy advocacy, where we advocate for stronger laws and policies that survivors and hold accountable and hold perpetrators accountable. And this includes pushing for comprehensive sexual gender-based violence legislation and ensuring its effective in terms of implementation. So for this also to work, also be engaged and training our law enforcement personnel by ensuring that the police and judicial officers are trained to handle sexual cases, sensitivity and competence that can also improve the experiences of survivors in justice. So most of the time, when we are handling the legal and policy support, we have the victim-centered approaches where policies are there to prioritize the needs and the rights of the survivors, such as the ones we promote that emphasize empowerment and non-judgmental support. So these are most of the comprehensive services where we integrate medical, legal, and psychosocial support as one space that can also survive survivors. And as a survivor, I can acknowledge it is not easy for us to talk about it, but through the spaces we engage in, engaging survivors and talking about it has also made us map out the challenges that the communities face in terms of sharing their stories and coming out to get support. So basically, that is what we do. Regardless, we still have some challenges as survivor, especially when we are handling some of the cases. The stigma is still ongoing, but at times it takes such time so that we can go for debriefs as people who work with the community. So debrief sessions, facilitators in healing, and make us stronger to be consistent in handling these cases. Regardless, some of the challenges survivors pursue about when one is abused, it's not easy for them to be in a space that other people are. So the challenge of getting them back to their track economically has been a challenge because one will withdraw from the community and will not be able to work normally. So there's that need to empower them getting skills and also giving startups and them about economic empowerment and entrepreneurship so that they can take care of their families and take care of their daily needs. The processes of healing are not quick because once several times you need to like visit psychosocial support, needs transport, needs somebody to take care of you, you need somebody to by your side that can always be giving you support. So through these cases, it's not easy, but this engagement is bringing on board some of the few challenges we are passing through, like how can we integrate climate change and gender in terms of some of the spaces where when we have conflicts, sexual violence numbers go on the rise. At the same time, when we are having culture is also another barrier that is not easy to handle. The need to engage the elders in this conversation and also engaging the male champions to know what sexual violence, especially when we are handling children. So with all this, I think this is what part of what we are working on. And I am also humbled to be part of this process and championing together to work towards evaluating violence against children. Thank you so much.
Wow, Sister Lorraine, I know we want to first acknowledge and thank you. You were amazing. And I always say it is no accident that you're on this platform today. It's no accident. There's a good reason.
Okay.
We thank you for your boldness, your bravery, your resilience, for sharing part of your story with
Oh,
us,
yeah.
and for
Yeah.
imparting the knowledge and the work of not only your organization but what you do. You equipped us with so many other resources which I feel we much need. And in any other true fashion, if there is any other way or form where you can also share those resources so that we can share with other organizations, other grassroots organizations, because I feel you unpacked so much, and that would benefit other organizations. Like we have our men champions in Kakamega, in Kenya, and I feel very strongly that they would also benefit from those resources, especially when it comes to knowledge exchange, especially when it concerns the sexual gender-based violence, walking them through and how they can also empower their community and many others, because we all could learn from that typical blueprint that you shared. So thank you so very much. And I'm going to ask the audience, if you have any questions for Sister Lorraine, please show by raising your hand or putting something in the chat, and she'll be happy to answer your questions.
Red champions.
Okay, Uncle Charles, okay, take it away.
Okay, my question is about healing.
He's not audible.
Uncle Charles,
Yeah,
okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
yeah. This is Christopher from Men Champion. My concern is about healing because when it comes to healing, now these are two people involved: the perpetrator and the victim, and more maybe the survivor. I mean, so the survivor will be in the village, and this person who now was a perpetrator, maybe these people, they live in the same village, and maybe he has been jailed for about 2 years and then come back to the village. So these two people now, they are coming back to stay in the same village. What method are we going to use so that they can now heal the survivor and also the perpetrator? Because now they will come back to the same village and you want them to live in a peace way. Thank you.
In addition to that, I want to you are doing a great job, and I was just saying how reach out so that we can partner together with you.
Thank you so much. Kindly, the second speaker, the person who asked about networking, kindly share me details about your organization that then will network. And then for the male champion question, we are working closely with both families of perpetrators and victims in terms of reintegration, so that any perpetrator that comes from the prisons they need reintegration back to our families. But suddenly, we've been having weaker structures that support these spaces because some of them are not accepted back to these spaces. So it takes time to engage the families from both sides in terms of giving psychosocial support. And this is a process that will take time because both of the families need healing. For another issue that is also a challenge for integration is some of the cultures where we have defilement for children that are underage or even incest, like a child that is born by a relative is not accepted in our communities. Some of the communities practice this. So the only way will be to kill a child. So as also a survivor that is also supporting this space, we say the child has a right to live, and there's also need to start engaging these elders to understand the importance of life, unlike the issues of culture, because law surpasses culture. When any of the perpetrators is leaving some of the prisons, we have a probation officer that a placement is done to a probation officer to do follow-up, to prepare the community, the church, the families on how they are going to receive this perpetrator. But regardless, if we focus much about advocacy and community engagement in ending any forms of violence against the children, we will not be having this perpetrator survivor victim issues. So this is one of the things that we also need to focus about. And another thing is we need to engage, especially with children. How do we start talking about violence, the signs, the early signs that children need to see when they're going through violence? Who do they identify in terms of have been abused, whom can I talk to? Some of our parents are not that empowered they're not that empowered to know how to talk to their children about sex and sexuality. These are some of the greater challenges that we are getting, because I leave the house at 5 in the morning, come back at almost 9 at night. I don't have time to bond with the child. And if they ask me something, maybe I'm very tired. So our parents will not have time to bond with their children. But regardless, can we create safe spaces for our children and our community members to make sure that we are getting to know how to handle our children and even our community members? Can we reintegrate? We are also working toward reintegrating our local administration, the village elders, and even the mental health champions to work together to know how to support the communities, and also the community to acknowledge on how do we handle victims of sexual violence. Thank you, and I hope I've answered you.
You did a great job in answering. You really unpacked so much. And even us as Hope for Her Global, you made us realize that we have the potential to do maybe some empowerment workshops for the children.
Okay.
It's really important. And this is why at the beginning this year, we started educating and understanding that violence starts in the family. And what a way to keep piggybacking on that importance. The role that the family fabric or the family is a social fabric, but is an important role. The parents, we have a role to play. And I like the way you say it. Yes, our reality is that we get tired coming from work, but we have a responsibility to our children. And as a community, as organizations, you really have put a challenge to the organizations. Often than not, when we talk of empowerment, we tend to select topics and we choose, oh, this one is a bit uncomfortable. I don't think we should talk about it. And Sister Lorena to remind us that this morning. So wherever you're tuning in from and joining us from, if you're a leader of an organization, I hope and trust you took note of that. It is important.
There's still some two things I'd love to add.
Go ahead.
Number one, we can also map out sexual violence against and issues of healing. We can identify organizations. Some have resources, others don't. How can we work as a consortium when one person has a resources and the other one doesn't? So maybe I can offer my services during these spaces. We create safe spaces where we can also engage each other. And again, it's high time that we also engage in creating school spaces for children to be resilient and talk about their issues and know when to go at what time. So let us also work as a unit, not really in terms of money, but whatever resources we have, can we share this to make gain the objectives that we need? Thank you so much.
Oh, Sister Lorraine, you have a way to just tap into our brain. Wow. In the morning, we're talking about the power of collaboration. And you've just reiterated on that yes, we do acknowledge there are some other organizations that have the resources and others do not. But we have to come together in some of these spaces to talk about those things. How are we of help to each other? It's not longer about our organization is bigger than yours and we don't support the smaller organizations, but it is where we also have a social responsibility and a corporate responsibility. What is your role? What is it that you can do to help the other smaller organizations who are on the ground doing the work with very little resources? You can come in. If you're a bigger organization, like Sister Lorraine said, we can come up and build a consortium where we come together in the collective. We're able to share resources and spaces and information. It's not about the capital. I want us to understand that it goes beyond the capital investment here, but it's about the information that you can impart. That's the resource we are talking about, knowledge-based, so that the other organizations will be empowered to go back into their communities and in turn, empower their communities as well with the correct informations, with the correct tools. We are not saying the big organizations be there to fish for them, but show them how to fish effectively so that we are imparting correct information. So I hope and trust we all ask ourselves questions as leaders. What kind of leadership are we? Are we open to other organizations coming into our space? Are we open to sharing? Are we open to collaborating? Are we open to empower the leadership of the smaller organizations so that they can go into their communities and raise awareness using the correct resources and information in terms of knowledge? Thank you, Sister Lorraine. Like I said again, and I'm going to reiterate, it's no accident that you're on this platform today. This was meant to be, and you're such a great resource. And thank you for opening up and sharing yourself, your expertise with us today. We appreciate and we look forward, because once your name is imprinted here, You know, Maria, we sisters now. I'm going to follow up with you. And there's so many ways I feel we can work together. And there's so much that we can do in our efforts to reach more. Do we have any other questions for Sister Lorraine? When we have expertise within us, please, let's make use of this moment. Do we have any questions that you'd want Sister Lorraine to address? Whether you're coming from a survivor space or you're in organization.
Just to say thank you for all the things that you guys are doing there. And as always, all the collaboration that we together can come is really important. So no, other than thank you for all the things that you are doing right now there.
Mamacita, is there a way we can pull up day 5? And Sister Lorraine, once again, we want to thank you and for just giving up time off your busy schedule and being called to step in when duty called, and you delivered. We learned so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving yourself to us to be able to learn from you. We feel empowered. There was so much to take away. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to add my voice to Lorraine. As
Okay.
a Kenyan, I believe we can be able to meet. Allow me so that we can discuss much, because the issue of sexual gender-based violence is rampant. And so, send you my details. We can link together to see how to meet. Thank you.
Welcome, Charles Okwemba. Welcome. So I think I want to exit from this space. I'm very humble that I had a team that could listen to what we could share. But from now henceforth, I just pray that we sit together, start working together, and so that we can feel the visibility of the advocacy towards ending the sexual violence amongst our communities. And at the same time, we need to start dialoguing on some of the strict policies and conditions that some of the donors are giving us that bar us from accessing the little money that they have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And tomorrow we will have day 5, where we look at mental health and wellness, not only for the sexual gender-based violence survivors, but we are going to take a deep dive into mental health. And to kick off, that will be our keynote speaker, because I see Mamacita, you may not have the updated version, which is, I'll just read off from here so that we are all on the same space. So tomorrow we will have again, Sarah will be joining us all the way from South Africa. We'll have Netsai and Walang from Canada. We will have Catherine Alowa from Uganda. We will have Jessica Kamau from Kenya. We will have Priscilla Munemo from Zimbabwe. We will have Diana Arongo from Colombia, and none other than our own, very own from the United States, our keynote speaker, and who also be the moderator, Dr. Shelley Pierre Robertson, to lead us into what will be a full day. Tomorrow, I feel very strong and encouraged because we have presentation from different countries, and these are all experts in their different capacities that will be sharing the best practices, what has worked, what hasn't, and there'll be so much to unpack. So I encourage you to come in tomorrow and the days after to come and learn, if not share. Share, share, share. That is the gift that we have. We believe in collaborations. We believe in partnerships. And this is what will be seen by the representation that we have. Tomorrow, as we said, we have literally over 7, 8 countries being represented tomorrow by different presenters who serve in different capacity in the field of psychology, mental health, therapists, and so on. And some of them are also from academia. So they'll be able to share with us. And how can we benefit from that? I'll say be open to learn, to relearn, unlearn, and get empowered. So again, thank you for coming in, for showing up. What a great day 4. There was so much to unpack from all this. We're reminded the importance of uniting, creating safe spaces. We were reminded in that power of collaboration. Today we saw opportunities, that possible opportunities, where again, men champions, you'll be able to reach out to Sister Lorraine and see how best they can be of assistance to you in terms of knowledge sharing. So that is another door and an opportunity that has been created. So through Sarah, we are going to create a handbook, which we will be sharing with you. It's going to be on our website. We're going to do the best we can. We'll ensure that you all get the handbook and you'll be able to utilize it in your spaces. Parents, we were reminded the importance of being present in the family and for our children, empowering our children when it comes to what we may, because of the way we were socialized, find it as an uncomfortable topic in terms of sex and sexuality, making our children understand, empower the children. When they're empowered, they will know when they come across a situation that is uncomfortable. But if we don't empower our children, they fall to be victims and prey to others who we may not know. And remember, most of the time, our children are assaulted or sexually violated by somebody in the family. So I want us to be mindful, and I want us to remember that. Instead of looking out there for whoever could be the perpetrator, most of the time the perpetrators lie in the family. Somebody you trust, somebody you love. Those are the children, not only the girls, but also the boy children. So parents, you were reminded today, let's be mindful. Let's remember to be present in our children's lives. And as organizations, we were encouraged to create spaces, safe spaces. Let's also be open and objective enough to appreciate that we need each other. We can form consortiums. We can form those or create spaces where we are collaborating. And again, we look beyond just the capital investment, but it's the knowledge investment where we share and impart knowledge to each other so that we get those tools to take into our communities. And we were also asked to challenge our culture, our cultural leaders, our community leaders, the elders, bring them up to the conversation. Let them understand that any child, regardless how they were born, they deserve to live. They have a right to survive. Yes, culture may tell us otherwise, but it's time to question those cultural values. That means bringing the elders into conversation, the community leaders. Make them understand that this particular tradition may no longer work or serve because that child did not ask themselves to be born. How they were conceived may be something else. but you cannot deny them the right to live. This is what we unpacked in day 4. Once again, before we leave, I want you to remember, you are hope. You bring hope to one woman, one girl, one boy, one man, one community at a time. What is your call to action? From all of us at Hope for Her Global and all the entities and our partners and all the organizations that are working with us through the 16 days, we want to thank you for tuning in. Until then, we say good night, good afternoon, and good morning. And thank you. Merci beaucoup. Gracias. Asante sana. Tatenda siabonga. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.